Tonight, shedding light on a report that Watertown wants to keep secret. That report has information in it about an investigation into former city manager Rick Finn and if he created a hostile work environment for Superintendent of Parks and Recreation Aaron Gardner. After reading it back in January, City Council determined there was no hostile work environment. Now tonight, Gardner, who was just suspended without pay, says that's not true. The paperwork that she read tells a different story.
I will always stand by my decision to turn in my complaint because it was the right thing to do.
Now suspended without pay, Aaron Gardner has no regrets. The woman who has been in charge of the city's Parks and Recreation Department for almost 9 years now sits at home, reading documents accusing her of misconduct and insubordination, and the city seeks to fire her. Gardner says her battle with the city began last summer with then city manager Rick Finn. Finn wanted her department and the DPW crews to share some duties, like mowing grass or shoveling sidewalks in city parks, something Gardner wasn't on board with and offered up other ideas. From then on, Gardner says in meetings, her opinions would be dismissed. She was spoken down to, and on 2 occasions, she had fingers pointed in her face.
Not only was it derogatory, but it was done in front of other professionals, and that just it makes it worse when you're sitting in a group of professional people and you're getting spoken to like you're stupid or like you're 2 years old.
Gardner filed her complaint in November. Watertown hired HR consultants of Glenville, New York. When its report came back in January, city council members went one by one to City Attorney Robert Sly's downtown office, some needing 2 hours to read through the 50-plus pages of the report. No copies could be made, no notes could be taken. Then, after a meeting on January 24th, council determined the allegations did not rise to a hostile work environment. Gardner tells a different story. Tonight, the judge says make it public. A state Supreme Court judge has ordered the city of Watertown to surrender a report the city has been trying to keep secret for months.
We asked the city for the report. They said no. We filed a Freedom of Information request. They said no. We appealed the decision. They said no. We finally had to take the city to court. And in a ruling we got this afternoon, State Supreme Court Judge James McCluskey says release the report. He says the city has no claim that the report is privileged information and that yes, even though releasing the report might embarrass Finn, we're talking about things he did do in his official duties as city manager.
So, Scott, my reading of the judge's decision is that it backs up Gardner's claim that the report said there was a hostile work environment. Is that what you get out of it?
Yep, let me quote from the report. The report is, of course, the opinion of the consultant, and the city council is free to, and in fact did come to a different conclusion regarding whether the city manager created a hostile workplace. That pretty much says it all.
The mayor and council have yet to come forward and say he was wrong, he did wrong. Do they find this behavior acceptable? Would they find it acceptable in an urgent care? Would they find it acceptable in a real estate office? Would they find it acceptable in a grocery store? Would they find it acceptable in a security office? Would they find it acceptable in a state senator's office?
Suspended Watertown Superintendent of Parks and Rec Aaron Gardner is talking about the newly released 33-page report investigating former city manager Rick Finn, who resigned in January.
This council's action under my leadership is we dealt with this swiftly. I didn't hire Mr. Finn. I dealt with the fallout.
Watertown Mayor Jeff Smith tells 7 News Monday that the city stands behind its initial decision that Finn's behavior did not meet the federal standard of creating a hostile work environment.
I have no comment to Ms. Gardner. I don't feel I owe Ms. Gardner anything.
Read the full report that 7 News obtained after winning a lawsuit against the city. It's on our website at WWNYTV.com.
Watertown's embattled Parks and Recreation Superintendent Aaron Gardner has been fired by the city. A hearing officer has decided there were grounds for Gardner's termination based off of evidence of misconduct and insubordination.
And then there's this report the city had done to look into Gardner's accusations against Finn. While it dismissed many of Gardner's claims as exaggerated or not violations of city policy, the report also found Finn wasn't fully honest with investigators. It ultimately concluded that Gardner's claim of a hostile work environment appears to have merit and that Finn violated city policy with the way he treated female employees. Smith says what Rick Finn did has absolutely nothing to do with what happened to Aaron Gardner.
Nobody is disagreeing that Mr. Finn wasn't inappropriate at times. Nobody's disagreed with that.